What's the most spectacular way you've seen someone fuck up at work? I was once a bank teller. One day, a guy comes in to pay off a line of credit that he shares with his son. Apparently, his son is a drug addict and ran the line of credit balance up to $10,000, maxing it out. The guy comes in, talks to my fellow teller, pays it off, and signs to close it out. He asked my co-worker at least 3 times that it was closed. She assures him that it is. She is also addicted to her phone and loans most of her attention to it. Guy leaves. Several months later, the same guy comes in enraged with a line of credit bill. He comes to my window and explains the situation. He thought it was closed. It turns out that our bank's policy, not sure if this is universal, is that both he and his son have to sign off to close it out unless there was some sort of special circumstances that never happened. Dude owed another $10,000 because of course his son isn't going to sign off on closing it out if he can run up the balance again. He says he is going to sue. I point him in the direction of someone more qualified than me. My manager tells me he has a good case and will probably beat our corporate bank in court. I'm just a teller. Some days it's good to be on the bottom. Glad it wasn't me that messed it up. A grad student was invited into a professor's office for a meeting and was left alone for a moment. There was a pile of cumulative exams on the professor's desk that had just been graded. These are subject exams for grad students, wickedly difficult, and you need to pass 4 to continue in the program. This jackass decided he'd take a look at the stack of exams. Then upon finding that some of his fellow students did poorly, he took pictures of their grades so he could use them to ridicule them and pass the results around the department. This was a big deal because numerical grades aren't ever given out for these exams, only pass, fail, and also it's a pretty big FERPA violation to distribute others' personal academic information like that. He was found out almost as soon as he sent the pics around and was dismissed and forbidden from campus immediately. Someone else had to pack up his desk because they were that serious about him never setting foot in the building again. Someone bought $100 in lottery tickets, then convinced my dumbest co-worker to give him a refund on the losing ones. I work at a call center. I reviewed a call where the guy thought the phone was muted and called the customer a stupid-ass motherfucker. The customer called him out and he tried to backpedal and make up some story. He was fired shortly after. Guy drops a glove in a deep fryer, sticks his entire hand in it before realizing it's on and set to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My current job is a lab technician at a major university, and we had a new guy unplug the small -80°C freezer full of recombinant DNA because he wanted to charge his phone. I used to work in a grocery store and I had an HR person repeatedly lose my doctor's note stating that I have Raynaud's syndrome and couldn't be in the freezer. I got a stack of them from the doc and would have to bring in a new one every few weeks. Finally, I had a department head fax a copy into corporate for me before dropping off yet another copy. HR bitch. The next week the HR bitch called me into her office and told me I was going to have to put the frozen load for bakery away. I told her I couldn't do it and I had a note on file. She told me she didn't have any paperwork on file for me and that she could make me do anything she wanted to. I called my department manager into the office and told him what she had said. He got corporate on the phone and asked if they had received the copy of my doctor's note detailing the fact that I had Raynaud's syndrome and had already previously gotten frostbite at work from being forced to be in the freezer when I wasn't supposed to be. They said they had it, and he then told them what HR bitch had said. He then handed HR bitch the phone. She had to hold the phone about 1.5 feet away from her face because they were yelling at her so loud. It was one of the most satisfying days ever working there. She went on leave shortly after that and never came back, and the official story was that she was having health problems. Worked in a single-story cinder block office with parking spaces out front. There was a big window that overlooked the parking lot. We had an older engineer, early 70s, that worked there. He pulled up one morning in his parking spot and must have gotten the brakes and the gas confused. He drove the car right through the window, taking out some of the wall with it. I can still remember seeing him gripping the steering window with this terrified look in his eyes while he kept slamming on the gas. The car must have gotten stuck on something because it would just lurch forward and the engine would rev. Luckily he didn't kill anyone. He retired soon after that. I'm a welfare caseworker. A few months ago I got a call from a client wondering what was going on with her case. Read the case comments and found that one of my more intellectual co-workers shut down this case and assessed a 5-year overpayment on this client for her cash aid, basically saying that all the aid she had ever received was fraudulent and she needed to pay it all back. Her reasoning? There was a glitch in the system that made this woman's child show as a resident in a different county. Rather than following established protocol and calling this woman, or ordering a fraud investigation from our little unit of full-time investigators, or anything else that would make sense, she went out of her way to make this woman's life hard. For the record, I called the other county and the worker I spoke with confirmed that the child was no longer a resident. His father had reported to them that the family was moving to our county 5 years ago, and they'd been trying, unsuccessfully, to update his county residence ever since. Because I caught the phone call, I had to un-F the case and close out the overpayment. A co-worker received a promotion and a large raise. They were told they should thank the CEO as he initiated the entire promotion. My co-worker went on a rant about not asking for any of it, so he's not thanking anyone, and it escalated from there. By the end of the day he was fired. My co-worker actually turned a promotion into a termination. I used to work at Popeyes, this fried chicken chain. It sucked and I eventually quit. A week after I quit, the night crew decided they didn't feel like putting the boxes away from a truck shipment. Someone could deal with it next day. Few days later, and several reports of food poisoning later, they got in a load of trouble. Boxes were full of raw chicken. So glad I quit. A guy I worked with was measuring high voltages and let the height probe touch the metal chassis of the instrument, which he also had his other hand resting on. We heard the zap from the other end of the lab. I've posted this before but it's long, so I'll just list the things he did. A 16-year-old lifeguard left his chair without another guard to go up. Pushed 2 kids in the pool for no reason. Joked with another guard to quick let's get her, referring to a 12-year-old taking off her pants so she was just in her bathing suit. The other guard was not amused. Approached another guard who just came from the shower, dressed but wrapped in her towel, tugged her towel and said, "Show me what's under there." Called me a raging bitch to the nearby campers, 9-12 years old, after I chewed him out for not being in chair and pushing kids on the pool deck. All of this happened within 20 minutes. He was fired on the spot, and all the campers who heard and saw what he did immediately came to myself and their team leaders to report him. No one thought he was funny, and I have no idea how he thought any of that was okay. More info for the curious. In days previous, he had a terrible habit of being on his phone in chair, removing himself from chair, not doing any lifeguard chores, chatting with instructors and coaches while they're working, stuff like that. We didn't fire him sooner because 1. His mum is an intense lawyer, and 2. He technically has disabilities, lacking proper social etiquette, I guess, that would risk us discriminating and getting sued by aforementioned mother and or her lawyer friends. At this time, we were a poor rinky-dink club that couldn't afford that risk. We got bought by a larger company, so we probably would have a fighting chance now, but he's gone, so whatever, lol. A substitute came into work completely drunk once. This job started at 8, and he drove the drunk. I get that junior high is stressful, but drink afterward. Testing an industrial microwave that had come back as damaged on site. They straight it off by turning it on and running the RF meter over it to check for leakage. The meter immediately maxed out and they shut it off. Turns out they didn't look it over first, and it had a huge hole burned through the side wall of the microwave. Like and subscribe for more content. And remember to check out Reddit.